There's TV. Welcome to Daytime Auto here on Rogers TV. A great show ahead for you. We're going to talk a little design on today's show. We're going to introduce you to a wonderful organization, and we're going to kick off the show because I know the temperatures have dropped a little. It's still beautiful outside, don't get me wrong, but overnight temperatures are gone to the single digits, and that means you have to prepare your home for the winter. And who better to talk to than contractor Ryan himself? How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Have you already started any of this?
You know what? The truth is I have.
You have?
My
okay.
house
Darn, I thought I had you there for a moment.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
It's normally I'm late, but this year we wanted to get it done early because we got a wedding coming up in the family. So
okay.
We got it all done.
All right. Well, let's start with, I think the obvious one, let's start with the furnace.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
This puppy right here.
So this
important part of the furnace, right?
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It's not necessarily because it's winter, the seasons are changing. It's always every 3 to 4 months we have to be changing our furnace filter, and that's why I brought that. Let's change that filter.
There are some that I know that people buy and then they clean it themselves.
Correct. Yes.
Do you recommend those, or do you prefer the disposable furnace?
Here's the
filter
thing, okay? And I don't want to talk bad about any filter at all,
of course.
But there's definitely different grades of filter, right?
Okay.
The more kind of tight the filter is, the more it can stop, the more it can actually get restrictive if you don't change it out very often. Right? So this filter here, which is a very, very good filter, you go past 3 months, and now all of a sudden you're restricting you're clogging your airflow.
Because it's done such a good job.
It's such a great job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the ones that you can clean, yes, they can work very, very, very well. Right,
okay.
But again, those ones are very tightly packed, so you should be cleaning those more often than replacing that. So I would clean mine once a month. It all depends. Like everyone's got busy schedules, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much do you want to be done with your furnace?
I don't want it to have much to do with my furnace, to be honest. Yeah. Outside of this, is there any other thing we should be doing?
It's a great time to get the ducts cleaned.
Okay.
It's a great time to do that. Now, on a furnace, when you get it serviced, there's something called a flame sensor. A flame sensor is exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
It senses the flame, right?
Wow.
Now, they can get dirty.
Oh, really?
So when they get dirty, they just stop. They just stop working, right? So they're no longer sensing a flame. We don't want the furnace pumping in gas,
right?
And no flame. So what I recommend is get your furnace filtered by a professional. They'll come in, they'll clean that flame sensor. Here's the thing: if the flame sensor gets dirty and your furnace stops working, you're in for about a $200 service call.
Right.
And now you're cold.
Exactly.
Right?
If you're miserable and you have to spend more money.
Correct. Yeah. If you do a service call and you get it, it's like $150, $180 to get your furnace serviced, then they clean that thing away.
That sensor, I'm guessing you don't recommend we try to clean that on our own.
No, I don't recommend
it. You need a professional.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. If you just lots of YouTube videos out there, you can do it, but then you might break something.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, just do it yourself.
I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to save some money.
There's YouTube. Yeah. Then you might end up out money, cold, and with a broken furnace.
All right, gotcha. Right? You mentioned duct cleaning.
Yeah.
I recognize what you brought.
Yeah, I brought this stuff. So I brought this stuff because I cannot say it enough to get people to stop using this for their dryer. So it's a great time to clean your dryer vent out and make sure that's all functioning properly. But this is not what we want to use, and we don't really want to use this either, right? Because this will melt.
Okay.
Right? This can hold a fire inside of it. What we really want is a rigid pipe.
Okay.
Right? Because this is a fire hazard. Don't use this. If you have this in your house, take it away. Stop.
Okay.
Get rid of it.
All right.
If you have something like this that's a metal, that's flexible, the problem with it is it can collect lint and everything in like the grooves, right? So definitely clean it, keep an eye on it, but I would replace it if it were me.
So and sometimes it's tough sort of get it, but you can buy the straight in with the elbows and everything.
Yes.
And, in order to get it out to where you need it to go, right? To vent it properly.
What you want to do is you buy aluminum. It's for sale at Home Depot. You can go there, and you don't use the regular ductwork that you would use for your house. You use aluminum because it's a little more fire rated.
Right.
And that's what I want to see.
Okay.
But I do see this. It's not the end of the world. This is the end of the world.
That's the end of the world.
If I walk into your house and I'm going to do your bathroom and I see this,
bad. Everybody at
home.
Get
rid of it.
Buy a Slinky and have fun with your kids instead if you want something like that. Okay.
Perfect.
Got it. Let's talk about outdoor taps.
Okay, outdoor taps. So this is super common these days, right? This is a frost-free tap. So this would be the outside of your house where you hook your hose up.
Right.
And you turn this on and off here, but the washer's way back here. So the idea behind it is this is in the warm zone inside your house.
Right.
Right? And this has to be tilted ever so perfectly, and then when you turn it off, all the water drains, and then you don't have any problem. They don't work. They don't work. No, this is great.
You're setting me up for failure here.
In theory, this is great. Okay? If this all you have, and you have a shutoff valve right here, like this in your basement, put a vacuum cleaner on this. Like turn it off, put a vacuum cleaner on it, get all that water out of there. Because it just takes, you can see inside, they're super small.
Yeah.
Any amount of water, game over.
It's going to break on you.
Game over.
Okay.
Right?
But shut off that valve.
Shut off the valve, right? But then not every shut-off valve is the same.
Okay.
Right? And so like we have this type too, right? You see this on houses too, where there's like this is right there. The water's going to be right here, right? Like that's but not every shut-off valve is the same. This is a quarter turn. I love these ones. We put them in all the time. What's really cool about this one is it has this little knobby thing.
That's the technical
term
name for it.
We talked about this before it went on the air.
Yes.
We agreed it was knobby thing.
Knobby thing.
Okay? So what happens is this part here is towards the outside tap like that.
Right.
So when you turn the water off here, you open up this little drain valve here.
With a little cup or bucket underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You know, just it's going to be a little, ever so little.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of water is going to come out of here as well, making sure that this line is completely removed of water. We don't want any water in there, right? But if you don't have one of these,
if you don't have a knobby thing,
then you actually have the wrong shutoff valve.
Oh. Get yourself a shutoff valve with the knobby thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I want people going to Home Depot all week this week while I'm looking for a knobby thing.
So, I spoke to contractor Ryan on Daytime Ottawa, and he says I need one of the shutoff valves with the knobby thing. So what is it really called?
What is it really? I said it earlier before. Do you remember what I said before?
It's the bleed.
It's a bleed valve.
Bleed valve.
Yeah,
that's it. Okay.
So that's what it is.
So if you are going to Home Depot, try to use the term bleed valve.
No, they'll know.
Oh, okay.
I got to sign up front of all the Home Depot. So now it's going to get dry. Right?
Right.
It's going to get cold. No matter what we do, can't do anything about it. I want to service our humidifier. I want you to start thinking about that.
Okay.
So this is a filter for a humidifier. I will tell you that no one changes these. People forget about them, right? This is a soup. Now, you used to get the drum. Remember the drum?
Yes.
It would go in the water.
That's right. It would turn.
Yeah. Now, you can still buy them. I haven't seen one in a while in a house because they've gone to this new style. Right. So the new style, it sits like this. You can kind of see the light through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the water would drip in here.
Okay.
It drips down through here, right? And then your air passes through this and that picks up the moisture.
Right.
Because what your furnace can't do is add moisture to the dry air that's sucking in from outside. It will, once it's dry, it's dry. We need a humidifier.
Okay. Very quickly before I run out of time, caulking, windows, door. Like, should we be doing a double check on all that?
It's the time. Let's go outside and walk around our windows, make sure they're sealing properly, make sure the weather stripping is good. There's companies who just do caulking now.
Really?
And they come in, they remove the old caulking, they put new caulking in, they'll replace the weather stripping on your doors. You know, I go into houses all the time and I'm talking to people and I can see like cracks through their doors. Like, let's fix this.
Yeah.
Let's fix this
Why
problem.
am I still cold and I'm inside, right? With this breeze that's coming through your door.
It's expensive.
Very quickly too.
Yes.
Got 10 seconds left. This is a great time to change your smoke detector and your carbon dioxide detector as well.
That's the time right now.
Contractor Ryan, Tuesdays at 8 p.m., Wednesdays at 8 p.m. You can watch the show right here on Rogers TV, Mondays at 8 p.m. Just go to rogerstv.com. He's on all the time. Okay? We'll be back with more right after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves.
Apparently,
and don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Eastboro Designs. Eastboro Designs, designing a bold lifestyle through functionality and beauty.
Welcome back to the show. For those of you that lived in the area, we're probably going to be taking you back down memory lane a little bit, because I grew up in Nepean in Arlington Woods. And in 1973, my friends, the Nepean Sportsplex opened its doors, and at the time, the largest sports complex in the entire country. And that is also when the Christmas show began. Here to tell us more about that, Katie Lester joins me here on the show. Welcome. Great to have you, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
And as you pointed out, you were not born yet, so
No, I was
you
not.
did not take your swimming lessons like my brother, my sister, and I did when it started opening back there in 1970. But is it true that this show also started in 73?
It did. This is our 51st year in operation.
Wow.
Yes.
It's hard to believe. So you weren't there. I was there with my family.
Yes.
But what a great spot, right, for a Christmas show like this. Let's talk a little bit about why this is such a unique show in itself.
So this, again, it's the 51st year that the show has been running. We have over 100 artisans that participate every single year. 70% of those artisans are from Ottawa or a 30-minute radius of Ottawa. So it's really supporting local businesses, which is important to us.
That other 30% comes from where?
Anywhere. So I have one vendor this year who's coming from British Columbia.
Oh, okay, nice.
One that's coming from Manitoba. A few that are coming from a little further in Quebec, and some from the GTA.
So how is this curated then? What is sort of your criteria outside of local and Canadian?
So we do look for unique products that would stand out in the market. We're looking for color, for a little bit of pizzazz. It has to be handmade, so items are usually about 90% made by the artist, if not 100%, because you know, most people don't cut down their own trees and mill their own lumber, though you can,
for sure.
But not everybody does. Or you know, the stonework that comes in some of the mixed media pieces is acquired rather than made. But things do need to be handmade by the artisans that participate in our show.
Well, you just pointed out a couple of examples. You brought some examples along. Let's start on the far left here. Tell me a little bit about what you brought along here today.
This painting was done by Ken's Haley. She is a 22-year-old artist from Ottawa. So she's an abstract artist. She works in a bunch of different mediums, as well as does custom commissions.
Nice.
So she has been with our show for 3 years. This is her 3rd year, and we're very excited to welcome her back because she's a pop of color and an absolute spitfire. She's a lot of fun.
22, that's incredible. Like being there for 3 years already. So that just gives you an idea too of the demographic of the artists are all across the board, right?
Absolutely. Next, we have a soy-based candle glorified by Society. So this is a woman-owned business. It's all about sustainable products. So for this one, she does fragrances, hair care, and a bunch of different things along those lines, but they're eco-friendly and sustainable.
Very nice. I love those wicks too. It's kind of I guess it's some type of wood.
It is,
and it gives you that crackling sound, right?
Yeah.
And so you get that sort of fire sound. It's amazing. I love that idea.
And a wide variety of scents. So it's not all flowers. This one's one of my favorites. I'm really excited to see her at the show again this year as well.
And tell me about this piece you got brought with you.
So this is birdie blocks. So this is a bird feeder, and the block is inside.
Okay.
So Karen and Darren, who own Birdie Blocks, had a different business going into COVID.
Okay.
And when they had nothing else to do but feed the birds, Birdie Blocks was born.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. So how does it, do we know how the feeder works?
So this attaches to a tree.
Yeah.
And then the block itself sits.
Oh, I see. So
there.
the wrapping comes off.
And then
the birds peck
eat.
away. I
Yes.
gotcha.
So
Karen and Darren, you say.
Karen and
That
Darren.
should be like a sitcom. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned this this beautiful piece here. Tell me about it.
So this is Hazy Days Dragonflies. So
Cool.
she is also local to Ottawa, named Sue, who makes these. She's a mixed media artist. As you can see here, we've got a mixture of the stone and metal. And she uses a variety of inks and paints to get the color
That's really
combination
cool.
here. What's really neat about all of her pieces, no two are the same, and every dragonfly has a story.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
So that's super cool.
Let's move on to some food here. You brought some
food.
delicious looking food with you.
So this is from the Cupcake Lounge.
Oh, I know them, yeah.
Yeah, local, very close to here as well.
one just down the road. That's right.
So we have some cookies, gingerbread, and then what looks like a really fantastic hot chocolate mix that I'm
Nice.
super excited to try. My son's going to be thrilled when
Wonderful.
that comes home for
I love
Christmas.
it. And then some unique maple syrup, maple products here, right?
So these are actually birch syrups. So
I've only tried that a couple of times. It's really, really cool.
If you are expecting a maple flavor, don't. It's unique from that, but
Right.
it's very, very good. I had a chance to sample it recently. I'm very excited to have them. This company's from Manitoba.
Okay.
And they're traveling all the way here specifically for this show,
That's
so I'm
amazing.
excited for that. They have a pure syrup. They do some jams as well, but my personal favorite is their spice syrup. And this is as close to a traditional maple syrup as you're gonna get from them, but with a unique twist of being from a
Nice.
birch tree.
Okay, I like it. All right.
Okay.
And another candle here. Look at this.
Yes, so this is a pod, which within the grain woodworking has worked with to put the candle inside.
Right.
So they've gone through and created this. Within the grain also does cutting boards, tops, turning, so you can get salt and pepper shakers from them, bowls, that type of thing.
Very
so it's
cool.
really
All right, what do we got here?
So that is a soup mix from Canada Soup. It is, so they're also very special. So Terry is the creator here. They had some dietary issues, which is what made them kind of go and look at what they were eating, what they were putting in
that's
their
a great
body.
idea.
And from that, Canada Soup was born. So this is their friendship soup mix, and this package makes 14 cups of soup.
Really?
Yes.
Holy jeez.
So you can feed
That's
your family.
incredible. I'm down to 30 seconds, so let me tell
Okay.
everybody at home quickly where and when it's happening. The P and Sports Plus Christmas Craft Show, Thursday to Sunday. There's different times. Thursday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Friday till 8 p.m., Saturday to 6 p.m., Sunday to 4 p.m. Beautiful jewelry. We've got some great little, the lobster
Dip
and
is
crab.
back,
The lobster
yes.
dip and crab. I remember that from last year, and you'll find a lot of wonderful artisans that do some spectacular jewelry. We'll be back with more, and I'll remind you at the end of the show about this particular show because it is a must-see. We'll be back with more.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
It's a new season of the new fly fisher, on Rogers TV.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Eastboro Designs. Eastboro Designs, designing a bold lifestyle through functionality and beauty.
Welcome back to the show. You know what I love about doing this show is I get to talk to all the guests before the show, and one of my guests coming up just turned to me and said, you know what, let's just concentrate on Fradimac, and then I'll come back in a few weeks and we'll talk about some of the wonderful things that she's doing. But let me introduce you to my next two guests. Lori Bowen is the CEO of Healing Minis Farm School and also Arts for Life Productions, and Abed Bamboo is the sales representative of Fradimac Spice Company and your business manager as well.
Yes.
Right? At Healing Minis. Tell me how the two of you connected. This is an interesting connection here.
Yes, it is. I was here in the spring, and you remember I opened my business May 1st, Healing Minis Farm School. Abed had contacted me because his first language is not English, it's French, because he's from Congo.
Okay.
So he saw that I was doing a really unique program called Horse-Powered Reading, where you learn to read with horses.
Right.
Horses put you at ease, and they're not judgmental. So he came out and I met him, and he educated me about what's going on in Congo, and I got on board and I raised some money. So the money I gave to a charity called Friends of the Congo. He told me about his family company that makes spices. They're from Congo. So every spice that we sell, I'm helping him to sell them in the Ontario market.
Okay.
And helping because of the English and the language barrier.
Right.
But they're giving a percentage back to the Friends of the Congo that help the women and children in the Congolese conflict.
Nice.
Yes.
So, Abed, and you're going to translate for me here,
Abed,
but tell me a little bit more of the history of the family's company, Spice
I'll tell you.
Company.
Okay, well, that's how he's going to start. I'm going to let him take it.
Yes, bonjour, bonjour Derek.
Bonjour.
Merci de nous recevoir. Je vais vous parler, je vais vous présenter Fradimac. Fradimac, c'est une entreprise fondée en 1995, une entreprise d'épices afro-caribéens. C'est fondé par ma mère. Donc en 1995, nous avons à cœur vraiment de partager avec le monde entier les saveurs de notre région et de permettre à tout un chacun de cuisiner des plats savoureux et équilibrés.
Hello, Derek. Thank you very much for having us. We're delighted to let you know about Fradimac, which is a Congolese Afro-Caribbean spice company that was started by Abed's mother back in 1985, Noella Lutongio from Kinshasa, DR Congo, which is the capital of Congo.
Right.
And it's their goal in life to bring the authentic flavors of Africa to every kitchen.
Nice, very nice.
Alors Fradimac, c'est avant tout une histoire de passion, mais Fradimac, c'est aussi une entreprise philanthropique qui, par notre programme, nous voulons venir en aide aux populations les plus vulnérables, raison pour laquelle nous avons lancé un programme de vente avec la ferme El Mining Farm School de Madame Laurie. Ces programmes consistent à donner 10% de notre vente à l'association Friends of the Congo qui vient en aide aux populations sur terrain à l'Est. Donc, il va donner 10% de nos ventes des épices à Friends of Congo qui va sur terrain, et ces populations sont contraintes de se déplacer à chaque fois. Et raison pour laquelle on veut venir en aide, c'est un peu ça.
My French immersion's actually helping here. I understood most of that.
That's really good. So Fradimac is a story of passion, and they also care about the most vulnerable population that's happening in Congo.
Right.
So because of that, we started the Spices for Life campaign. They're available in Kentville, at B&H now, in Merrickville, because of me, Merrickville Food Mart. And what I did is I made spice cookies using their spices. So this is a spice kit. We're going to be making spice kits. Just to give you an example of some of the spices, these are all for you and the crew.
Oh,
but what he
nice.
was telling us about is that Fradamak is giving 10% of all of their sales to Friends of the Congo to support the women and children that are in, there's 800,000 in the Belenjo camp alone.
Right.
So when I raised money back in the spring, I gave money to some female farmers that grow a medicinal tea.
I remember that,
and I'm importing it into Canada.
Are you?
And we're going to
Excellent.
open an African grocery store out in North Augusta. I'll let him finish with about why this is important for us to talk about Congo.
Derek, permets-moi de vous parler un petit peu de la situation au Congo, qui est quand même complexe et préoccupante. Aujourd'hui, nous assistons déjà à plusieurs milliers de morts, plus de 6 millions collectés par l'ONU et plusieurs milliers de déplacés. Alors, tous ces millions de morts, c'est dû à des problèmes stratégiques, des minéraux, uranium, coltan, tout ça. Alors pourquoi les populations qui font que se déplacer, à travers notre programme, on veut participer ensemble avec la communauté pour aider.
The humanitarian situation in the DRC is troubling and worrisome. And the conflict, which has been going on for 2 decades, has really displaced a lot of people. 6 million people have lost their lives, and well over 1 million have been displaced.
Right.
So that's why it's very important for us to give our support to them, and that's why we're working with Fradamak. But we have to remember that the conflict is over the natural resources that are in the ground in Congo, and we always have to keep that in mind, from cobalt.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I mean, we won't get into the politics, but there's a lot. There's a lot of corruption and so forth that goes on, and we're more worried about the people that are dying and the people that are being displaced. It has been a sad situation, as you said, for so long. And you've got a number of programs as well, right? I mean, I guess the reading program is why I came to learn English, right?
Yes, to learn English, and now he's looking for a job in the Brockville area. So if anybody's looking, I hired him as my business manager, and so Healing Minis is, I just applied. We're in the process of applying to become a charity, a registered charity. He's on my board. So it's been a great connection. And one day I hope to go to Congo and go to the camp because we want to bring cows there.
Nice.
We want to bring some cows and spices and feed the people.
And all of these spices available on the Fradamak website, right?
And there's locations in Ottawa, Gatineau, and out where I am, and we're going to keep going. So if you know of
Are
the
those
grocery
locations
store,
can you find them on the website?
they're on the website,
Okay.
for sure.
Excellent. And you've got a lot of other programs as well that we'll have you back in a few weeks.
My book's coming out. I should mention that.
That's right.
Life lessons I learned from my dogs, because I'm going to give some of the proceeds to the Friends of the Congo, an amazing charity that's situated in Washington, D.C., but they've been around for 2 decades. And Maurice Carey, who's the executive director, is actually Jamaican. His mentor was Congolese.
Right.
And he's fighting for the rights of the Congolese people. It's beautiful. He's a beautiful man, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for this again.
Yes.
Fradamak, by the way, with 2 A's for the actual website. So I know you could have some confusion when you go there and you see only 1 A, but it is with 2 A's. And again, as you can see, proceeds going to a great cause. We'll be back to talk some design, but design in a very unique and bold way. Coming up right after this.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot. Because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
Get front row seats to Music and Beyond's unforgettable summer festival. Experience world-class concerts, mesmerizing performances, and much more. Music and Beyond presents a new season on Rogers TV.
Unbelievable. You just never see that. What a shot.
The OHL on Rogers TV.
Best you. you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
I hope you join us for the next hour to give. We're going to talk all about the Arbor Memorial Foundation and how they're helping organizations in this city, including Caldwell Family Center.
Well, prepare to be inspired, my friends, because my next guest went on a unique experience, and it has changed her life and her design in many, many ways. I am joined by Deidre Jorson. She is the lead designer and founder of Eastboro Designs and one of my fabulous sponsors here on the show, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks
I really
so much
appreciate it.
for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. So you decide you want to do something very unique that
Yes.
not a lot of people have done. Take me back to this decision that you want to go to Everest.
So Everest Base Camp
Yes.
specifically, because going to Everest Summit is a completely different animal.
Totally different story. Yeah,
But-
the lineups now are
Yes, it's like a
insane.
highway.
Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah,
now.
it's wild, but challenging nonetheless.
Right.
So it was a bucket list item that was, that was on my phone. I had my bucket list actually
Nice.
twice. It was listed twice, and my husband's cousin Jen had asked me, this is something that I'm thinking about doing for my 40th birthday. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, like it's on my bucket list. And even my husband looked at me and said, like, what do you mean it's on your bucket list? Because I am not a hiker. Like to be
really?
clear.
Okay. This
I
is
was a Girl
interesting.
Guide. I loved Girl Guides and
Right.
camping
Got
and all
a
those
couple of
things.
badges?
Lots of badges.
All right.
Canada Cord. All of the things. But hiking is not in my comfort zone.
Okay.
And hiking or trekking to base camp is certainly outside of my comfort zone. And so I wanted to challenge myself and prove to myself that I could do hard things.
Nice.
And having 2 young daughters, I also wanted to have them see, mommy do something really
Yeah.
difficult and do something
To
successfully.
inspire them, right?
Yes.
To show, yeah, exactly. And this is something difficult, obviously, because as you said, you weren't a hiker. Like,
No.
did you train at all before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we said yes to the trip, it was at the beginning of COVID, and then COVID hit, and so this is the show.
We can call it the show.
The big
right?
show.
Yeah.
The trek was put on hold, on pause essentially, till the following year, and then Omicron came about. So it was really 3 years in the making before we actually left,
Okay.
and there was a lot of training, a lot of prep that went into getting ready for the trip. Not just physically, but also mentally prepared. Had to prepare my business for being away for almost a month.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Yeah, it's a long one.
When you and I chatted on the phone, you mentioned that this really changed the way that you look at design. How did this experience change the way you look at that?
It's interesting because when I was going, I didn't think that it was going to be life-changing. A lot of people had said, it's going to change your life. You're going to get so much out of it. And I thought, well, what if I like my life? Like, what if I don't want it to change?
Right.
Right? And because it was so arduous, because it was, with the lack of oxygen, everything is very heightened. Everything feels much more emotional, much harder. When I had some big aha moments on the trek, I was really grateful that I had, because I thought, if I've done all this and didn't get anything out of it,
Right.
it would be, it would be quite a downer, coming home. And so it was actually more within the last year, because I went May of 2023.
Okay.
And so it's within the last year that I've really learned more about that trip and had more discoveries, let's call it. And so being a fairly extroverted person, I think one may feel as though, from a design standpoint, that my design business would also be, very loud and extremely colorful and,
Right.
all of these kind of what could be very scary to a lot of homeowners.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it was really only within the last couple months that I realized that I enjoy walking clients through my design process to also get them outside of their comfort zone and
Is that to make sort of bolder choices?
Exactly.
I've talked about this with designers before, in that, you know, North Americans compared to Europeans, we tend to be a little afraid. We don't have the confidence to make bold choices. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly it. And I would say, you know, even within our country or even within the province, you can see very different design choices.
Interesting.
You know, Ottawa versus Toronto.
Right.
We tend to be much more guarded. And so what I'm hoping to achieve, you know, through my experience and living more boldly, is to give clients or homeowners the confidence to be able to live more boldly through design.
We're looking at some of your designs, by the way, just bringing them up as we chat here. And I guess is this some of what we're seeing in those bold choices?
That's right. And I want to be perfectly clear too. You know, what could be very bold for one homeowner could be totally different for another.
Right. Yeah.
Right? When I say bold, I just mean going outside of what they would deem being their kind of norm,
right?
And challenging, you know, themselves to, you know, maybe go for a different texture in cabinetry, you know, or like wood grain, or a different countertop material.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we're talking about like purple polka dots, and you know,
we're not going to paint your whole house in one particular. But
No.
I mean, this is one of the ones that you sent that stood out to me, Deidre. In
That's
that
right.
It is very bold, because oftentimes we would do something a little, you know, on the lighter side.
That's right.
Right? Where
That's
this is so striking.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And my job is really to show homeowners the art of the possible. And so if I take that more bold approach and try and read between their in the lines of what the information that they've already told me, then I can show them, hey, this is, you know, what I know you're comfortable with, but what about this option over here? And again, giving them that confidence that, you know, they've trusted me with, you know, fairly personal information, or maybe we've had like very intimate conversations about what they want for their home and for their family moving forward, in order to make the space unique for them.
Right.
Right? Because
right.
again, bold for one person might be sleepy for another.
Yeah, and
or,
something else
know,
you pointed out to me is like finding beauty in the unexpected, and
Yes.
and you know, you have the mind to do that, where a client is like, you know, there's trepidation, right?
Absolutely.
They're intimidated by some of the choices. I've got to get you back, because I want to talk. You sent some really cool, you know, designing with mindfulness and purpose. Like, we didn't get to a few things, so we'll bring you back in a few weeks. Does that
Sounds
sound
great.
fair?
Yeah, that
to
sounds
continue
great.
the conversation. EastBoroughDesigns.com, by the way, to get in touch with Deidre, and you can find her on Instagram as well. Some, as you saw, beautiful designs you can find on social media with her as well. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV. I'm Ramon DeFranco. Ottawa's O-Train Lines 2 and 4 are in the final testing phase and could be open to the public as early as mid-November. Line 2 will expand to Line Bank from Greenboro, adding 16 kilometers, while Line 4 will extend 4 kilometers to the airport, and this is part of Stage 2 of the LRT. The new lines will almost triple the length of light rail in the city. If you prefer getting around by car, then you can enjoy the annual Magic of Lights Ottawa. Visitors drive through the nearly 2-kilometer route, where they are treated to an array of themed light displays, classic holiday scenes, and animated displays, and an enchanted tunnel of lights. It starts November 11th at Wesley Clover Parks. Watch Move and Improve weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Rogers TV 22.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Just informed there are only a few tickets left, and that is coming up November 1st. It's Capo number 4. Right? Capo number 4. Capo, by the way, stands for Capital Professionals Open Mic, and its founder, Ted Carty, joins me here on the show. Welcome. Great to have you here, Ted.
Thanks for having us.
And many of you at home will also recognize Trisha Ross because you've been on a few times. You guys have been doing a ton of events. Yeah. She's the Director of Special Events and Community Engagement at the Ottawa Cancer Foundation. Let's start with you, Ted. This idea and the inspiration behind Capo, it came from where?
It was born from a golf tournament I was in with several members of the business community, as you are, and we were on a green, and we all reached into our pockets to look for markers, and we all pulled out guitar picks. And I thought to myself, we should probably consider a different type of event. I've been a musician and a working musician for a very, very long time, and I've run all kinds of shows, and I know how to my way around a stage, so I thought, let's see who would be interested, and I put it out to my network at the time, and we kicked off an event, and it sold out, so we thought we had something here, and since then, the snowball has gotten bigger, as it is, with many hands and people joining the cause, and so we're very happy to present another one, and we'll continue to present them as we find people here in Ottawa who are ready to play.
Yeah, and Ted, I mean, the premise being, right, there's a lot of talent in this city. I mean, you mentioned, as a full-time artist yourself and musician, but there's a lot of artists and musicians that, are doing this sort of on the side, and it's sort of their side gigs and so forth.
Well, to be clear,
right?
I'm not a full-time musician. I was a working musician in that I was professional into it, but I was most of my working time, if you will, it was almost 50-50 really, if you think about it. But what I do, I am connected to many professional musicians, and I'm connected to many musical professionals.
Right.
And we have many professional working musicians who help us out with Capo and come in as side performers, and I'm very grateful for their time. And this is an opportunity for many of those people who are in the working world, who have that interest and want a little stage time. And many of them that I know are exquisite musicians themselves, and travel and perform and draw big crowds. We had 20th Century Boys on for our second one, and if you've ever seen them play, they light the roof up.
Yeah.
So that's the talent is fantastic, whether it's from a working musician or not. But there's a lot here in the city. So.
Well, and the fact that you turned it into something that would support something like the Ottawa Cancer Foundation. What does this mean to you, Tricia? These third-party events, incredibly important, right?
Yeah. Well, they really add up. There are a number of different third-party events that we're so grateful to have come on board and choose us as their charity recipient. But Capo is just this magical musical event. I was fortunate to attend the third iteration of it and danced so hard I couldn't move for days. But it was so wonderful to be part of that, and we're just so grateful to have that in our network now.
Right.
And just be part of something that's different from many other third-party events.
Well, and the focus of the foundation has changed somewhat as well, right?
Yeah, so we provide supportive cancer care to cancer patients and their families. So that's the wraparound care that people need outside of the medical treatment. We provide mental health support, emotional well-being programs, nutrition, fitness, lots of things that people need outside of the treatment part that, can support the entire family. So cancer system navigation is part of what we do, and that helps people find the answers to the 1,000 questions that they wish they had asked in the doctor's appointment, and to really just be somebody who's on that journey with those families.
Ted, this year's Capo, number 4. Let's talk about some of the highlights. Who have you got performing this year?
From our working community, we have all kinds of people representing different forms of lawyers and accountants and other types of professionals. We have 3 bands that will close off the night. Our headliner is Open Channel D, which is a 5-piece rock outfit. That is driven by the drumming skills of John Sicard from Canaxis. And we've got some fantastic performances. Like, I could go through the list of them, but some of them just have a band name. So I think you'll come and you'll be surprised. You'll be like, oh, I didn't know the band name, but you'll recognize the people up there. So but we've got representation from all kinds of people, and the list for Capo 5 is already there, ready to go. Yeah, nice. Anybody who registers, I ask anybody who wants to register and be part of it to go to capomusic.ca, which is where you can also get tickets. So there's a few left, capomusic.ca, and you can register. I will try to get you on stage. I will try to get some time, give you some stage time. That's sort of my goal for everybody who does register, and try to put together and curate a performance that that people enjoy and that people want to come back and see.
Different styles of music?
You know what? I mean, there's a lot of people sort of are bringing, songs that they want to hear, songs that for more of an upbeat room, but I do have people that are bringing original music. I have more of a singer-songwriter vibe. I have people that are bringing sort of a 3-piece folk thing. Okay. We have a couple that I'm a big fan of that is bringing a very unique approach. I almost describe them as like Wilco meets Modest Mouse meets like David Byrne. Every time we do this, what comes out of the woodwork floors me. I don't want to set any not expectations of different things, but every time I do this, something wonderful shows up, and it's really great to watch.
Something magical happens that night.
Lightning in a jar, I guess they call it.
Tricia, just quickly, for people that are watching right now and they want to put together one of these great third-party events, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, just to reach out to me personally or my associate Eden Hyla-Mariam, a manager of events and community engagement at the Cancer Foundation. Excited to see what people bring to the table and help them in whatever capacity it is that they're needing support.
Thanks to you both. Really appreciate the time today. Congrats. Another Capo 4 Rainbow Bistro, Friday, November the 1st, 7 p.m. capomusic.ca to get your tickets. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life, I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis that put me in a coma for 3 weeks. While I was in there, I received a lot of blood to put me in a healthier state.
I was given the plasma then through IVIG. Even though that happened so long ago, it still has a massive impact on me today.
Thanks to donors, I can live another life.
Because of you, I will be seeing my grandchild.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
Ah, what amazing adventure have they gone on this time around. The Adventurer and the Adventure Seeker back on the show. The Adventurer, Sarah Stewart, and the Reluctant Adventurer, I should say, Jennifer Hayward joining me back on the show. How are you two?
Good.
Okay, because you two talked about this from day one of coming on the show, right?
That's true.
Jennifer, what is the latest adventure that you've just been on?
We went mushroom foraging.
Okay.
So you had to go into the woods and
Right.
look for mushrooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, let me ask you, the two of you have been talking about this forever. Why was this one so important that you wanted to do this one?
Well, the whole entire point here is to get Jen outside of her comfort zone. We're aware that a lot of the things that we do are maybe going to fall in the camp of Jen maybe doesn't want to do this again, like the haunt last year, right?
Right. Yes, I recall that one. Yeah.
So it's still important, though, to try. You don't know if you're going to love something until you get out and do it.
Right.
So it was a big step outside of Jen's comfort zone, both to get out into the woods for that long of a time and and to go learn about mushrooms. So she gets to hear a lot of that stuff from me daily. You know, she knows way more about lichens than any person ever wants to.
Right.
But it's interesting to go out and try it on an adventure basis.
So, let's talk to the Reluctant Adventurer. You go out, I imagine there was a lot of walking. You were out in nature, enjoying the fresh air and the beauty of nature. What did you think of the experience?
Well, all those things are great. First of all, it was cold and it was early.
Okay.
So I will start with those two things. I'm not saying those are bad. I'm not saying that the exercise part was bad, but I know this was all deep down a trick to get me more fit. But it's not a bad trick. So I enjoyed it. I just felt maybe 3 hours is a little bit much. Like, I think I learned everything in the first half hour that I needed to. That's a mushroom, turkey tail, got it, that won't kill me. Excellent, let's get into the warmth.
We're just looking at some photos, by the way, as you're chatting here. You guys
You can see how cold I am in the thing. And her daughter came with us totally full adventure mode on, because that's how her kids
She had
are.
her hiking backpack and everything.
But I was going to say, Jennifer, you look the least prepared of anyone. What, like, where's the hat and the mitt and the gloves, right? Did you wear long johns? I mean, it's a better and more joyful experience if you prepare yourself.
Well, I feel that really is the motto of my life. It would have gone better had I prepared. So, yes.
The lady sent a list of things that we should bring and how we should prepare. It was totally on her.
I don't own long john. I'm wearing pants. I had a hoodie on.
Pants was important to wear,
Yeah, but I guess I also remember I used to weigh 400 pounds, and I always think I'm going to be warmer than I am. And now I realize, oh yeah, I'm not having as much padding. I'm cold, right?
Right.
But I will tell you that there were some really interesting aspects of it. Like, we got to pop one like a zit. It was really funny. It was just like, the mushroom went splooge, and it was like funny.
The mushroom world is varied.
Yeah, yes. And she had. Well, I also didn't know that all mushrooms didn't look like mushrooms. That sometimes, or fungi versus mushroom. I learned that.
Right.
I learned turkey tail because we saw 3,000 of them.
Okay.
And then mostly it was just like, here's two mushrooms. One's going to kill you, one's not. And all I could think about is from a creative writing standpoint. That's an excellent plot twist. Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But then they put some in my mouth, like not the poison. But she said that's how you tell. As long as you don't swallow, you won't die. And I was like, well, that still seems like a really bad way to test it. Like, this poison, let me swish it out like some mouthwash and see if I'm still okay.
It's true,
but
though. That is the rule with mushrooms. You can touch any mushroom. You can even technically put it in your mouth, although I wouldn't actually advise that.
Okay.
But you have to actually ingest it for it to do any damage to you. So touching any mushroom is not going to be a problem.
But I thought it was when you lick it, like a toad.
Swallowing it that is the real problem.
So did you come across mushrooms that were edible, and did you taste them?
Oh, well, you're always going to come across edible mushrooms when you're out in the woods. But generally speaking, you're going to take those home, cook them, try a little bit, no matter what it is. Just like any new thing that you're introducing, you might still have a sensitivity, even if it's not poisonous.
Oh, I see.
So if you went out and foraged for 5 different types of mushrooms, don't just make up a big old mushroom risotto with all of those.
Right.
Try a little bit of one.
Okay.
Try a little bit of another. and wait in between.
So it was what, one woman that took you through this
Yes.
3-hour tour?
What a great career for her. Like, she knows.
Yeah, like,
her and Sarah, I could have not been there. Like, literally, what I mean from the talking, like, I couldn't even keep up. My brain was like, turkey tail. Gotta remember one thing. I got it. But because they're both, like, so passionate about the outdoors, about, like, we saw something and everyone ran to it. And I was like, I'm going to slowly walk over because I'm much less excited. But also, it was interesting when they told me what it was. But I wasn't going to run, what was it, the chaga or something? Yeah. And they were just so excited to find chaga. And I remembered that. That's a coffee mushroom, and but I did get to spit some. They put it in your mouth, and I was like, "Yeah, I know that tastes gross. Thanks for that."
she happened to taste a bitter bolete, so it was like an intensely bitter mushroom.
Sarah, Jen mentioned that there's a difference between fungi and mushroom. Did you learn what was the?
So what she's talking about is like what you're seeing in the woods is like the fruiting body. All the rest of it's all underground. You have like this whole entire
like an underground network of fungi.
The mycelium
the trees
network
talk to each other, and like I learned a lot of other stuff.
What kind of mushrooms were they again? Sorry. The trees.
They do.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
but
sorry.
but these
I
are
had
things
to use the joke.
I had no idea. And like, I'm an Indigenous woman, but nature's not my thing, right? And so it's just so weird to be on these things. And so I absorb knowledge. Would I actually do it again? Sure. They do go slow enough that I can keep up.
So I'm just running out of time. How can people find this? Like if they want.
So she doesn't have Facebook yet for this. So come find me, Sarah Jean Stewart, on Facebook, and I'll direct you straight to her.
Okay. Yeah. And was that all your photographs?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a great photographer as well. If you're looking for an amazing photographer, and if you're looking for an amazing comedian, they're right there. We'll be back with more to wrap things up right after this.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV. I'm Vera Scoltetti. Ottawa's O trains line 2 and 4 are in the final testing phase and could be open to the public as early as mid-November. Line 2 will expand to Limebank in Greenboro, adding 16 kilometers, while Line 4 will extend 4 kilometers to the airport. This is part of Stage 2 of the LRT. The new lines will almost triple in the length of the light rail in the city. If you prefer getting around by car, then you can enjoy the annual Magic of Lights Ottawa. Visitors drive through the nearly 2-kilometer route where they are treated to an array of themed light displays, classic holiday scenes, animated displays, and an enchanted tunnel of lights. It starts November 11th at Wesley Clover Parks. Watch Move and Improve weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Rogers TV Channel 22.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's wrap things up with sharing some of the things we talked about on today's show. The Nepean Sportsplex Christmas Craft Show coming up. It's this Thursday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then, so there's different times each and every day. Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then Saturday, same opening, 10 a.m., but it wraps up at 6 p.m. And Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can find out all the information at ottawa.ca/Nepean Sportsplex. As well, Capo at the Rainbow Bistro, only a few tickets left. That is coming up Friday, just in a couple of days. November 1st kicks off at 7 p.m. Some absolutely amazing local talent available. capomusic.ca, that's C-A-P-O music.ca, and you can follow them as well on Instagram. I wanted to thank as well Ryan Branton and Deidre Jorson, who are two of our amazing sponsors here on the show. We couldn't continue to do it without our great sponsors, so a big thanks to them. And if you're interested in coming on the show and you have a show idea, please reach out to me, Derek Fage, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Daytime. We'll see you next time.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Hello everyone, my name is Kwadwo Karamantang. I'm an ICU physician here in Ottawa, and I'm so excited to bring to you our latest show, Solving Healthcare with Dr. K. We're going to tackle some of healthcare's biggest issues, and more importantly, we're going to talk about ways to leverage preventive health. How do you avoid seeing someone like myself in the intensive care unit? And this show is exclusive on Rogers TV, so please tune in. You guys are going to love it.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning